Part 51. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 505. Don't worry about them yet. There is no direct competition in this round of copies. Yet. Boss. Another ghost boat is coming. Hundreds of ghost ships rushed over, and their momentum was quite advantageous. Not all players can pick one ship each. At most, one ship of players can have the upper hand against the previous ship's red energy demons, but they won't be able to completely kill the demons for a while. What's more, it's not just the red spirit demons on the ghost boats that are a threat. The water ghosts wandering near the dragon boats are always keeping an eye on the dragon boat players. If they slack off a little, they will be pulled into the water. Hey, how long are you going to hide? After Gucci blocked the attack of the fourth ghost ship, he changed shifts with all the criminal members. Putting the dragon boat aside for the time being, the 20 criminal members went to fend off a new round of attacks from the evil spirits, allowing time for Gucci and Qin-Chi to recover some of their physical strength. Sutingyu scratched his head and asked, Guoshi Wushuan and the others are still there. Gucci glanced at her, what? He is the creditor? Are you hiding from the dead? Sutingyu's eyes widened, no. Just tell me, have they left? Do you think any player can escape now? Gucci asked. Forward. Sutingyu gritted his teeth and drank the disguise potion that he had been holding in his hand. Suddenly, his face changed drastically. Qin-Chi hesitated and called out, Big fish. Sutingyu, who now looked ordinary, responded, it's me. She stood up and moved her legs that were numb from squatting. A glimmer of light flashed in Gucci's eyes. You are using this as a prop. Although he was surprised, Gucci quickly thought of the props. Yes, Sutingyu geared up, I can't wait any longer. Points, points, points. In the end, the disguise potion was used. Now that it's been used, it can't be wasted. Sutingyu stopped talking nonsense and joined the action to prevent the ghost boat from approaching the dragon boat. The death blade appeared in his hand. After charging for a few seconds, the blood red between the blades became brighter and brighter. Sutingyu randomly found an approaching ghost boat and swung the knife forward. As the sword flashed, the water waves on the river swept up, heading straight towards the ghost boat. In an instant, the ghost ship fell apart. The power of the splitting sword remained unabated, turning into several bloody rays of light, penetrating the body of the red demon who fell into the water. In less than 10 seconds, the entire demon's body turned into soot. You kill a red spirit demon and get 50 points. You kill a red spirit demon and get 50 points. You kill a red spirit demon and get 50 points. Ding dong dong. Looking at the constantly updated points on the panel, Suting's depressed mood was slightly relieved. Keep going. Sutingyu was worried about his disguise potion, while he was simple and rude, hacking the ghost and the boat together. Sometimes he would also hit an unlucky water ghost in the water from time to time, gaining unexpected points. Enter the account. Copy time, 4:55. It was almost 5 o'clock when the ghost boat was completely empty. As for the surviving player dragon boats, the original 40 dragon boats have become 18 dragon boats, and the number of players on most of the dragon boats is not full of 23 players. Some players were accidentally eliminated midway. The evil spirit has retreated. Sutingyu looked at the river with dissatisfaction. There were definitely a large group of water ghosts inside, but since they were higher level monsters than the red chi monsters, they would definitely not be able to defeat them like Lengtio Yucheng. Hard on. As a result, the remaining water ghosts hid under the water and never showed their faces again. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 506. After almost an hour, the remaining players in the dragon boat turned the last corner. All they had to do was go straight and the end point was in front of them. Rush, rush, rush. First place is ours. Top 5. Must be in the top 5. Just when all the players were about to rush to the finish line in one go, the ship suddenly shook violently. What happened? There won't be any more water ghosts, right? The sudden surprise caught the players off guard. Is this an undercurrent? Gucci looked slightly surprised. Unexpectedly, there were mines buried in the river at the end of the final sprint. A member of the criminal team said anxiously, Master Ju, our dragon boat is partially involved. We have to find a way to break free. Sutingyu held the edge of the dragon boat. Who knows how to get out of the undercurrent? Gucci frowned slightly. In the real world, if you encounter an undercurrent, you usually have to abandon the ship and wear a life jacket, float rope, etc. But in the dungeon, once you give up the dragon boat, it is no different from automatically giving up the main mission. Gucci, paddle. Stay as far away from the center of the undercurrent as possible. Sutingyu looked at the whirlpool outside, and suddenly, an idea flashed. I have a way, Sutingyu said quickly, taking out the magic book and magic wand from the ring. Sutingyu opened the magic book and found exactly what he wanted. The whirlpool calming spell, that's it? Fortunately, it's not a high-level magic, I can use it. Sutingyu glanced at the magic spell, and began to chant the magic spell in a low voice while waving the magic wand. The moment the chanting of the spell ended, the magic wand in Sutingyu's hand shone with golden light. Sutingyu looked at the whirlpool that trapped them, and flicked the magic wand. A small beam of golden light fell into the vortex, and then the vortex slowly disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. This magic. On the dragon boat, the criminal members who witnessed the whole process were full of amazement. Sutingyu coughed lightly, pretending to be calm. Loki, this is my profession. The profession that she learned under her own teacher was also a profession, and she didn't lie. Profession. He is worthy of being the top boss in the last round of hunting list. Awesome 666. Noticing that Qin-Chi and Gucci were looking at him at the same time, Sutingyu chuckled, there are many oceans in the world of my professional dungeon, and there are many magic spells to deal with various emergencies in the water. I just learned a few things. The magic spells produced in the 8-star dungeon are placed in the 7-star dungeon. No matter how you look at it, it is a dimensionality reduction attack. Hearing this, Gucci turned his head and said, what are you doing standing still? Don't you want to be the first? Yes. Master Ju. There are 4 other dragon boats here, yes, 5 in total. 1 dragon boat was destroyed in the previous ghost boat incident. As they passed along the way, Sutingyu secretly continued to use magic spells to help the other 4 dragon boats solve the undercurrent problem. As for the rest of the dragon boats, some were capsized by human boats in the undercurrent, and some only managed to get out after the boss struggled, but they were already far behind Sutingyu and the others. The top 3 were successfully captured by Seeing. The other 2 places are occupied by Xiao Si and Miracle Hong respectively. As for why the punishment was not fully inclusive, it was because the other 2 dragon boats were really unlucky. Sutingyu had just helped them solve the undercurrent problem, and soon fell into a new undercurrent. At that time, the dragon boat Sutingyu was in had already moved forward a certain distance, beyond the casting distance, so there was no way to help. After all surviving players reached the end, the panel reacted. Congratulations to all players for successfully clearing Dragon Boat Festival Ankang. All players will be sent a copy in 10 seconds. I don't know if anyone has noticed, it's the 5th update. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuan-Ke. Chapter 508. Sutingyu's voice immediately confused the fat man in the room. Boss. What's wrong? Did something happen? Sutingyu said with a depressed face, no. Nothing happened. Lose, lose, lose everything. Originally, the game currency was expected to exceed 200,000. Fatty, it doesn't look like everything is okay. Big fish, the limited time points mall has opened again. What do you want to redeem? Qin-Chi looked away from the panel and looked at Sutingyu. Yes, sir, there are many new products with points this time, but I redeemed them all for free attribute points. During the conversation, the fat man spent all the points on hand. Free attribute points? Beat him to death and refused to change. Sutingyu immediately rejected Fatty's suggestion. Opening the limited time points mall, Sutingyu browsed the various point-based products, and this time she was even more confused. Because there are too few points. Even if Sutingyu wanted to redeem a new set of clothes just in case of emergencies, the embarrassing thing was, she didn't have enough points. There are many good things in the points mall, but they all have two characteristics in common. Expensive and unaffordable. Even Qin-Chi, who ranked first in the kill list, only had over 10,000 points. It was obvious that he and Kikai were going to kill evil spirits together later on, but the difference in points between the two. With this thought in mind, Sutingyu asked casually. Qin-Chi replied, I mainly focus on killing the purple chi demons under the water. The red chi demons of the ghost boat are just incidental. Moreover, I have many helpers, so I can find the demons to kill myself. After listening, Sutingyu blinked his big eyes. Help? Does it mean the spirit of the ancient bronze sword? Qin-Chi nodded, but, Ju hasn't really recognized me yet, and he can't use his full strength yet. You still want to approve? Sutingyu wrinkled her face. How to be recognized? Can I give you a beating? If not, just 2 meals. 3 meals? Sutingyu browsed most of the points mall and really didn't know what to exchange for. Could it be possible to exchange for free attribute points? Kikai, what did you exchange for? Sutingyu urgently needed a useful reference. I didn't exchange it, I used it to trade with others, Qin-Chi said. The fat man finally found an opportunity to interject. Deal? What deal? Qin-Chi explained, some players don't have many points and can't redeem some of their favorite products in the mall. After reaching an agreement, I help them redeem, and he needs to pay me game currency. Game currency? Sutingyu was stunned for a moment, his eyes gradually becoming complicated. Game currency? Why are you only trading game currency? The fat man who didn't know anything asked again in confusion. I need game currency. Qin-Chi exchanged the point products that needed to be traded, and moved his eyes slightly down to his legs. He was silent for a moment and spoke softly. Huh? Oh. Fatty was still a little confused, but when he received Sutingyu's look, he realized something was wrong and shut up immediately. Now that we're back, I'll call the little pig over. The fat man confessed and slipped out of the room in a few steps. Sutingyu came forward and sat on the edge of the bed. Her voice was crisp and clear. Kikai, can you recommend me? I only have these points, what can I exchange for them? What kind do you want? Qin-Chi raised his head. Just functional ones. I don't lack any weapons. I just lack some props with unique functions. Sutingyu thought of his hat prop. The 2 recent copies had played a great role in critical moments. In terms of practical value and operating limit, they were no lower than ordinary blue mysterious props. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuan-Ke. Chapter 509. Search for the transforming emerald. Qin-Chi browsed for a while and said to Sutingyu. Sutingyu immediately followed the instructions. Points product, transformed emerald. Points, 4,500. Function, you can transform into an ordinary animal at will. If you are attacked by a threatening attack, you will immediately return to your original shape. The duration is 2 hours and the cooling time is 6 hours. Durability, 100%. Note, I am a little bird, I can't fly no matter how I fly. Wow, you can turn into an animal? This is somewhat similar to the effect of the disguise potion, but one turns into an animal and the other turns into a human. Sotingyu's eyes were bright. One transforms into an animal, the other transforms into a human, it's just complete. Sotingyu looked at the price again and found that he had enough points to redeem it. Yes, Kikai picked this for her, and she would definitely take her own points into consideration. He, this is fun, so let's redeem it. Chin-chi, you can think about it again, maybe you can find someone more suitable. Sotingyu shook her head and stretched out her hand to rub Chin-chi's little panda. I believe Chi-chi, the props chosen for me must be the most suitable. During the conversation, Sotingyu exchanged the shape-shifting emerald. The transformation emerald is an accessory that can be put into the decoration slot directly to take effect. Sotingyu's current decoration column was still full of water-repelling beads and underwater breathing beads, so he took off one of the water-repelling beads, took it back to the inventory, and placed the deformed emerald in the empty space. After redeeming the transforming emeralds, Sotingyu only had 15 points left. Even with these points, he couldn't exchange them for any props. Sotingyu went to the general supplies area and took a look, and suddenly spotted a small scarf with 15 points. This little scarf is a bit inappropriate for adults to wear, but Sotingyu exchanged it for a small scarf and took it out. Kikai, let me borrow your little panda. Ah, Chin-chi blinked in confusion, but when Sotingyu reached out to pick up the little panda, he didn't stop him. Chin-chi watched Sotingyu take a small scarf and wrap it around the red panda's neck. This. Sotingyu was very satisfied with his handiwork and stuffed the red panda back to Chin-chi. This way, the red panda also has a scarf to keep warm. Chin-chi looked at the red scarf of the red panda and blinked. Well, keep warm. Sotingyu patted the red panda on the head. Why hasn't Fatty come yet? As soon as Sotingyu said this, the door was pushed open, and the fat man came in with a confused expression. Boss, Brother Chin, Zaizu is not in his room, I didn't find him. Have you searched the room? Where is the bathroom? Could it be that you have gone out? Sotingyu guessed casually. It seems that I didn't notice the bathroom. I'll go look for it again. The fat man turned his head. Just a few steps out of the door, he ran into Wei Chu, who suddenly appeared around the corner. The fat man's eyes lit up. Little pig. Hello, brother Fan. Wei Chu Han walked over with a smile. The fat man asked casually, where did you go just now? I couldn't find anyone in your room. Wei Chu's eyes flashed slightly, and he said calmly, I went out for a walk. That's it. When the fat man heard this, he didn't pay too much attention. Then come in. Seeing everyone coming, Sotingyu stood up and said, I have something to ask for, so I'm leaving first. After saying that, Sotingyu touched Chin-chi's head. Boss, walk slowly. Sister Su, walk slowly. After coming out, Sotingyu went directly to find Chibubi. After meeting the person, Sotingyu asked straight to the point, Assistant Chi, how many game coins have been traded for my props so far? Currently. Chibubi was about to answer when his cell phone rang. It's a phone call. When Chibubi saw the caller's note, his usually calm eyes narrowed slightly. Ms. Su, I'm sorry, I'm going to take a call first. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 510. Oh, okay, I'll come back to you later. Sotingyu noticed that this phone call was unusual and calmly walked down the steps. Chibubi watched Sotingyu leave before answering the phone. I am Chibubi. Brother Chi, the target seems to be showing signs of activity in Jinshan, the United States recently. Chibubi's eyes darkened. How true is it? Can we still track her now? Sorry, Brother Chi, I lost track of my brothers. There are capable people around the target. As soon as we touched a little bit of the tail, We immediately hid. The last place where the target disappeared was in Hawaii. He should have stayed there for almost half a month, but the target's intention cannot be determined for the time being. After listening to the report, Chibubi sighed softly. Forget it, you continue to look for people and pay attention to safety. Yes, Brother Chi. After the call ended, Chibubi stood there for a while, then slowly turned around and left. 2 minutes later, Chibubi's figure appeared in Gucci's study. Sir Chibubi thought for 2 seconds and then said slowly, there is some news from Sci-Fi. Gucci's fingers while flipping through the documents paused slightly. Say. She appeared, but she couldn't find her real hiding place, Chibubi said. Gucci stared at the document in front of him, unable to read a single word. The temperature in his eyes gradually became colder, as if ice suddenly formed on the surface of a calm lake, and the cold air penetrated 100 feet deep. Tell Sci-Fi to keep looking. Gucci threw away the document in his hand and said coldly. Yes, I've already given the order. He looked increasingly irritated and took off the gloves on his hands as if to vent his anger. Don't worry about life and death anymore. Find the person and kill him. Chibubi was startled for a moment, and nodded in agreement. Okay then. Chibubi's eyes moved down and landed on the trash can on the ground beside him. There were several empty white medicine cans in it. Chibubi suddenly frowned. Master, please take some rest. Recently it was supposed to last 2 months, now it's less than half a month. Without answering, he suddenly took off his sunglasses and threw them casually on the desk. Chibubi quickly lowered his head, but at that moment, he still inevitably saw a pair of gray eyes that had completely lost their color, like stagnant water. The light in the room was very dark, with only a lamp in front of the desk. After taking off his sunglasses, the light from the desk lamp shone on Gucci's cold white face, and his eyes began to sting a little. He subconsciously raised his hand to block the light. Chibubi reacted and simply turned off the lamp. The entire room was completely plunged into darkness. You, go down first. About 10 seconds later, a deep voice slowly sounded. Chibubi was silent for a moment and replied calmly, okay, if you have any instructions, remember to call me. Chibubi opened the door, and the light from outside poured in through the cracks, but he could never touch the person at the desk. After Chibubi came out, just as he was about to close the door, the sound of a heavy object falling to the ground suddenly sounded in the room. Chibubi paused. The door was just a hair away from closing completely, but Chibubi didn't let go of the door handle. He just stood quietly in front of the door, listening to the vents inside with the attitude of a silent and invisible person. After about 10 minutes, there was no more sound coming from inside. Chibubi waited for a while, and after making sure everything was okay, he quietly closed the door completely. When Chibubi finally left, he looked back at the closed door uneasily. Who can pull up a person who is trapped in darkness and is judged to never be able to reach the light? Moreover, he would rather die than come out again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 511. Chibubi opened the door of Chin-Chi's room. Sutingyu and others were inside the room. Assistant Chi-Te. Brother Chi. Fatty and Wei-Chu greeted each other one after another. Chibubi nodded slightly, then turned to look at Sutingyu. Miss Su, please come out. Okay, Sutingyu responded, stood up, and walked out of the room with Chibubi. Boss, what's the matter with them? The fat man looked at the door that was closed again, with a trace of doubt in his mind. Outside the aisle. Ms. Su, the props that have been recently traded, including bronze props and ordinary props, have all been traded at low prices. In addition, 400 diamond props have also been traded. After paying 5% of the intermediary fee, the total is 90.25 W. The coins will be transferred to you within today. Chibubi explained the recent gains in a gentle voice. 900,000 game coins. Sutinyu was very surprised after hearing this. I didn't expect that the game coins needed for the fantasy repair agent could be collected so easily. Although I wanted to trade a lot of props, the difficulty was how to realize them quickly. Why are they all diamonds and below? Are they so valuable? 900,000. In addition to being surprised by the 900,000 game currency, Sutinyu was even more surprised that there was not a single rare item in this transaction. Wouldn't it be a punishment for paying game currency? Chibubi heard this and smiled. Miss Su, do you have any misunderstanding about the number of your props? Among the 900,000, 400 diamond props were traded at an average price of 2,000 game coins each. 800,000. Sutinyu silently calculated in her mind, it seems, yes. The price of diamond props is generally between 1,000 and 8,000, and they are sold for 2,000 game coins, which is indeed a low price. As for why we don't trade props above diamond grade. Chibubi smiled helplessly. MSU, rare props and even blue mysterious props are too expensive. If you lower the price rashly without mentioning any thanks, I'm afraid it will arouse suspicion. Furthermore, the higher the level of props, the rarer they are and the easier they are to identify. Although it is the default rule to pick up equipment individually in the dungeon, the number you picked up is really, a little too much. Sutinyu blinked his big eyes. Alright. The subtext of Chibubi's last words was, keep a low profile to avoid causing public outrage. Although Angel Su is number 1 on the Children's Day hunting list, almost all veteran players know clearly that there is a reward on her body. At this time, coupled with the reputation of a leak-picking maniac, it is estimated that everyone will really fall into a situation where everyone is shouting and beating him. As an accomplice, Seeing help trade stolen goods, so his reputation would not be much better. Well, that's good. Sutinyu nodded, then don't rush to trade the remaining props. Let's trade them at the normal trading price. I will send you a list later. In addition to the game currency, I need other items. Trade items. Can. By the way, today is the 14th, and there will be a new event dungeon on the 20th. Do you want to participate? 900,000 game coins are about to be obtained. Sutinyu is no longer short of game coins. What's more, he is interested in the parallel park itself. Entering more dungeons, you may be able to discover the purpose and existence of parallel paradise in the dungeons. Sutinyu didn't believe that the mastermind behind this effort had no intention at all to attract so many players. However, it is also difficult to rely on her own strength. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 512. Chibubi, the 20th. Is it a copy of Father's Day? Sutinyu nodded, yes, it's a Father's Day copy. I probably won't participate. Chibubi slowly shook his head. Sutinyu was stunned for a moment. Why? Chibubi thought for a moment and said, Master, doesn't like any topic about parents, even if it's just a copy. Is that so? Sutinyu blinked. Chibubi raised his hand, glanced at the watch on his wrist, and then said, if there's nothing else, I'll leave first. There are still some things to deal with. Yeah, okay. Sutinyu had no doubt that he was there. As Gucci's clothes assistant, he had to deal with a lot of things every day. Sutinyu looked at Chibubi's leaving figure and remembered the information about Gucci and the Gu family that he had obtained before. The Gu family is one of the few old established families that still exists. It existed and prospered before the establishment of the Celestial Kingdom. The Gu family's family history can be traced back to 4 or 5 dynasties before modern times. It is quite ancient. According to legend, the ancestors of the Gu family have produced emperors who were powerful in the world, civil servants who were inferior to one person, generals who guarded the territory, and merchants who were as wealthy as the enemy. In modern times, the old dynasty has gone through 100 years of vicissitudes. Under the rolling wheels of history, the old dynasty and system were crushed into mud, and new ideas and systems hatched new sprouts in the soil. It has been 72 years since the founding of the new heavenly dynasty. During this period, many families have faded into obscurity, and many families have been fleeting, but the Gu family still exists and maintains its prosperity in the spring and autumn period. Sutingyu was really shocked when she learned about the history of the Gu family. The Gu family is an ancient and mysterious family disguised as a business giant. However, in recent decades, the Gu family has been somewhat declining. The beginning of this matter has to start with the previous head of the Gu family, Gu Qi's father. The former head of the Gu family was also a talented and ruthless boss, but he was an infatuated person who fell in love with a woman. The two often went to various public places in pairs. At that time, people from all walks of life in the capital envied and praised the Gu family's divine love. Unexpectedly, the lover of the former head of the Gu family failed to give birth to a son and a half-daughter for more than 10 years. When the Gu family wanted to force the former head of the family to divorce his wife and marry another person or adopt an heir, the former head of the family suddenly went out for a trip. After disappearing for half a month, he came back with a little boy who had just turned 11 years old. Afterwards, the former head of the family announced in public that this was his biological son who was living outside the country, and a paternity test was performed. For a time, the entire capital was shocked. The head of the Gu family, who has always been devoted and hates the indiscriminate relationship between men and women, unexpectedly has such a big illegitimate child outside. The illegitimate son recognized his ancestors and returned to the clan. He was ranked 9th among his peers in the Gu family. He was named Ziozi. Because of the birth of the child, all the plans of the Gu family's side branches have all come to nothing. Naturally, he hates the new illegitimate child with all his heart, and keeps making little moves in private. More than 10 years later, while everyone was waiting for the Gu family's subsequent struggle for power, the Gu family suddenly underwent a huge change. In just a few days, the Gu family was completely wiped out. Inexplicable deaths occurred, inexplicable disappearances occurred, and even the head and mistress of the Gu family who were traveling abroad at that time died inexplicably in the villa owned by the Gu family. In the end, Gu Qi, the illegitimate son of the Gu family who had always been hated and looked down upon by others, successfully became the new head of the Gu family. At that time, no one questioned or opposed the Gu family. Until now, there is a rumor. The current head of the Gu family, Gu Qi, killed his father and mother, and blood-bathed his fellow clansmen. His methods were vicious and sinister, making people despise him. He is a man with a bad heart and a dog's heart, and is bound to be punished by God. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuan-Ke. Chapter 513. In front of the study. Chibubi kept looking down at the time on his watch. After waiting for a long time, he looked up at the closed door in front of him. Chibubi raised his hand and knocked lightly on the door. 1 second, 2 seconds, there was no movement in the room. Chibubi opened the door, walked in a few steps, and then closed the door behind him. The study was just as Chibubi had left an hour ago, without any light and dark. Chibubi had just taken a few steps in when he kicked some scattered objects at his feet. He walked around and glanced past, and finally walked to the man huddled in the corner. Sir Chibubi squatted down and reached out to touch the side of Gu Qi's face, showing some signs of chills. Gu Qi closed his eyes tightly without any response. Chibubi stood up and moved something on one wall. A space the size of a door frame opened on the wall. It was also a room inside. There were no doors and no windows. It was like a small, completely enclosed space. Chibubi carried the person into the room and carefully placed him on the bed. When the bedside table lamp was turned on, a ray of light fell on Gucci's face. Chibubi could clearly see that the former's face was pale, with a thin layer of sweat on his forehead, and his lips were tightly pursed, as if he was trapped in some kind of in a nightmare. Gucci seemed to feel some light and tilted his head in discomfort. Chibubi rummaged in the bedside cabinet for a while and found an unopened medicine bottle and a pair of brand new and intact sunglasses. Chibubi first helped Gucci put on his sunglasses, and then fed the latter 2 pills. The room also has a light source, which Chibubi had tried so hard to persuade Gucci to do. Chibubi turned on the room lights and adjusted them to warm-toned light that was not harmful to the eyes. When the light was sufficient, Chibubi also saw that Gucci's right hand had been scratched twice, with blood dripping from it. Chibubi found the medical kit, disinfected the wound, stopped the bleeding, and put a band-aid on it. After doing this, Chibubi sat on the chair beside the bed and waited quietly for Gucci to wake up. "How long has it been? I haven't seen you in such a weak and helpless state. Every time the whereabouts of that woman were known, I would lose control. Locking yourself in a dark and closed space, forcing yourself to overcome the lingering nightmares in your heart again and again, but ultimately failing again and again, and even worsening the condition." Chibubi also tried to conceal the information about that woman, because he knew in his heart that the traces of that woman were deliberately thrown out by herself. It's like when the other person is in a good mood, he likes to tease the disobedient children, just to stimulate Gucci. But the result of this was that except Chibubi being beaten by Gucci, it had no effect. 2 hours later, Gucci slowly opened his eyes, and what caught his eyes was the ink color of sunglass lenses. After a few seconds, he turned over. "Master, you're awake." When he saw someone moving, Chibubi stood up and walked over. "Your hand is injured. I have just disinfected and bandaged it for you." Gucci lowered his head and glanced at his bandaged right hand. His expression was pale and he didn't say a word. It was hard to tell what his attitude was. "Master, do you need some water?" Chibubi asked. Gucci turned his head and glanced at him, saying nothing. "Wait a moment." There was no water in this room, so Chibubi turned around and left the room. After the people left, Gucci got out of bed and went directly to turn off all the light sources in the room. For a moment, the room fell into darkness. But in less than 3 seconds, there was a pop sound, and Gucci turned on the light source in the room again, and his complexion changed a lot, and his breathing was a little disordered. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 514. When Chibubi returned to the room, he saw Gucci standing in front of the switch that controlled the light source, as if he wanted to turn off the light again. Master Chibubi walked over quickly, stopped Gucci, and handed out the water glass held in his other hand. "Drink water first, there is no rush in this matter, take your time." Gu tilted his head and glanced at Chibubi coolly. "Troublesome." Gucci took the water glass and took a few sips before he obviously didn't want to drink any more. Seeing this, Chibubi took back the water glass. "Master, you just released the dungeon, why don't you take a day off today?" Chibubi suggested. "When is it?" Gucci asked in a calm voice as he sat down against the wall. "It's 5:30 in the afternoon." Chibubi looked at the time and continued, "Sir, what do you want to eat tonight? I'll tell the kitchen to cook it later." "Casual." Chibubi thought for a while and said, "Sir, after trading some of Sutingu's props, I can already collect the game coins for a fantasy repair agent." Gucci had an obvious reaction this time, and there was a little more emotion in his tone. "She is the child's birthday gift, and I must also pay part of the game coins." Chibubi wanted to persuade Gucci to save some game coins and plan for himself. After all, If Gucci wanted to be completely cured of his illness, just a dream repair potion was not enough. But Chibubi also knew that persuasion was useless. Chibubi, well, I will transfer some of the game coins to Sutinyu when the time comes. Don't forget, Gucci mentioned worriedly. I won't forget it. That's good. Gucci's mood finally improved a little. By the way, Master, Sutinyu came to ask me if you would like to participate in the Father's Day dungeon on the 20th. Although he knew the answer in his heart, Chibubi asked one more question. Hearing this, Gucci's expression froze, and his expression gradually became complicated. Will not participate. Chibubi sighed inwardly. I still care after all. Then I'll take the time to ask Sutinyu and the others if they will participate in this event dungeon. If they don't participate, they will enter a normal dungeon on the 20th, Chibubi said. Well, you go down first. Chibubi hesitated for a moment, then tentatively said, Master, leave the light in the room. Is that okay? Gucci was silent for a few seconds before he responded in a low voice, yes. Chibubi left the water glass beside Gucci, then turned and left. Just as he was about to leave the room, he heard Gucci's voice behind him. Chibubi, I want to eat that. Chibubi was stunned for half a second, then smiled slowly and said, okay, I'll let the kitchen do it right now. Chibubi asked the kitchen not to allow. Chibubi tilted his head and responded, Master, I know, no coriander, no vinegar, it must be slightly spicy. Chibubi didn't just mention one dish, but all the flavors. Get out of here right now. Okay, Master. Chibubi rolled out obediently, pressed the switch on the wall, and the door on the wall disappeared. First, he went to the kitchen to tell him what to make for dinner tonight, and then returned to the study alone with cleaning tools. Turning on the light in the study room, the ground was in a mess, with various books, documents, and glass fragments strewn all over the floor. Chibubi picked up the sunglasses with a broken lens, wrapped them in glasses cloth and put them away. Then patiently cleaned the study one by one and throw away the trash. Some of the broken furniture could no longer be used. Chibubi made a phone call and asked several people to come up and remove the broken furniture and replace it with new ones. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 515. 90.25W. After Sutinyu came back, he would glance at the message panel from time to time. When a red dot appeared in the friends system, he would click on it in 1 second. Sure enough, it was the game currency transfer Chibubi mentioned. Sutinyu happily accepted it. Now, the game currency is enough. Sutinyu turned around and glanced at Chinchi, who was watching TV, in a good mood. Later, Sutinyu entered the mall. Props, Fantasy Repair Agent. Level, Golden Legend. Price 888888. Function, you can choose any defect on the body for perfect repair with black technology, painless, no side effects, and effective in 1 minute. Usage, disposable. Remarks, only players with at least silver professional status or LV10 players can purchase it. Don't look at it, the more you look at it, the more angry you will become. Sutinyu's eyes narrowed. Yes. In addition to game currency, there are also purchase restrictions for player status. Sutinyu is currently at level 6, and it takes 30,000 experience points to reach level 7. But if he wants to reach level 10, he still has to wait until the year of the monkey. This condition cannot be achieved for the time being. However, having a gold or silver professional status. Sutinyu remembered that when she obtained Pure Heart Singer, the panel information did not introduce the level of this profession, right? Is it possible that it's not even considered a silver medal career? Sutinyu looked away. In the room, Chinchi and Fatty are currently there, and Wei Chu has just left. Sutinyu thought for a moment and asked Chinchi, Kikai, I have a question. What's the problem, Qin turned around when he heard Sutingyu calling him. When I first got my profession, I didn't seem to see anything showing what level my profession was, just a gold or silver medal. Qin blinked. Well, professional levels require players to take the initiative to identify them, and once the panel identifies them, they need to pay 5,000 game coins. 5,000, Sutingyu was surprised. Good guy, can this hot chicken game be any more sinister? A mere appraisal requires 5,000 game coins. You know, 5,000 game coins can be exchanged for a diamond prop with good functions. Big fish, do you want to identify the level of your profession? Sutingyu nodded. I just remembered it and asked. Fortunately, my small wallet is quite bulging again, isn't it just 5,000? I'll spend it as soon as I can. Kikai, please tell me the process of identifying professions. 2 minutes later. Sutingyu looked at the profession identification interface on the panel. There was a circle-like pattern in the center with the word enter on it. Sutingyu clicked enter. Dear player, hello, would you like to know your professional level? Yes. You need to pay 5,000 game coins to identify a profession. Would you like to pay it? Yes. After Sutingyu confirmed it, the game currency balance in his personal information instantly dropped by 5,000. The identity of the player Angel Su has been confirmed, and the profession of the player is now being detected. 1098. Preliminary identification completed. Dear player Angel Su, hello, you have 2 professions, please confirm again which profession needs to be identified. Sutingyu, What's the situation? 2 careers? Doesn't she only have the profession of pure heart singer? Where did the second career appear now? Player Angel Su, please note that you have been detected to have a hidden profession. It has violated the principle of fairness, justice, openness, and justice of Parallel Park, and the order of occupational deprivation is now urgently initiated. Holy shit, Sutingyu was shocked. Qin and Fatty heard the noise and turned to look at Sutingyu at the same time. Big fish. Boss, what's wrong? The 2 of them couldn't see the specific content on Sutingyu's panel, and now they were confused.